Welcome to another edition of the Noles Podcast. I am your host, Gregory McCoy. This podcast is by a fan for fans. I am not a journalist. I am not a reporter. I am not an insider. I do not work for a website. The majority of my information comes from me. Other information comes off the internet. Today is January 6, 2020. This is episode number 26. I'm going to stick with my same format, highlighting one defensive player and one offensive player. Then I have a couple of different topics I would like to talk about. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I want to start with Quayshawn Fuller, defensive end, 6'3", 270. Quayshawn Fuller, why wasn't this kid playing more? He can play. Speed rusher, uses swim move nicely. Spins a little too much for me. Weight room and film room is a must. This guy can challenge for playing time. This guy can give Florida State some quality play in a rotation role. I don't know why the previous staff didn't play this guy more. They redshirted him. I think Willie Taggart just gave up on this team. Okay, Quayshawn Fuller, he's a player. Okay, he needs to get stronger though. This guy can come off the edge and wreak havoc. A lot of schools wanted him, most notably Alabama and Florida. He chose Florida State. So, this guy can play. The new defensive ends coach, I don't know anything about him, but this is a guy that needs to get on the field. Okay? As long as he puts in the work and dedication and he's motivated, I don't see anything stopping this guy from being one of the top contributors on this team next season. All right. And next is going to be running back Treshaun Ward, 5'10", 194. And this is what I wrote about him. I understand that Cam Akers was the number one guy on the roster, and Kalen LeBourne was the number two guy. I felt like this guy should have got a look based on what I saw in the Sun Bowl. He is elusive and fast with soft hands. Why isn't he on scholarship? Like I said before, needs to add weight, needs to get stronger, needs to really, be motivated and dedicated. And he needs to try to outshine the other running backs on this roster. In my opinion, he's a hidden gem on this roster. And again, I looked at his stuff on the Sun Bowl. I thought he was, decent. I mean, you have to take the offensive line into consideration. When the quarterback drops back or doesn't even drop back, he's already in the shotgun, and the defensive line is already, in your hip pocket. I mean, it's going to be hard for a running back to do anything. But I seen, a little bit of burst there from Treshaun Ward when he was able to actually make it past the line of scrimmage. So, again, the new running backs coach coming in from Tennessee. It is not at the recording of this episode, it's still kind of iffy if Tennessee is going to fight to keep that coach, the running backs coach, that Florida State is trying to snag away from them. But if he is the guy, he has a reputation for developing running backs, and I think he can work wonders with Treshaun Ward. So that's going to do it. I don't have an NFL comparison for either of these guys. So my next topic is going to be the 4-3 multiple defense, which our new defensive coordinator, Andy Fuller, will employ. And this, what I'm going to say, is probably not what he's going to run, but this is what I believe the 4-3 multiple defense is, in my opinion. All right. So the 4-3 multiple defense, Florida State's new scheme, which defensive coordinator Andy Fuller will be running, it traditionally consists of 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 1 safety linebacker hybrid, and 4 defensive backs. This is a defense our personnel fits best, with Lars Woodby, if healthy. With Lars Woodby, look, I can't even talk today. With Lars Woodby, if healthy, would be the safety linebacker hybrid. This is a very aggressive attacking style, which I love. In this scheme, the question for us is who will be the 2 linebackers. I say Emmett Rice, 1, and the other spot is up for grabs. I think Jaleel McCray, Kayvon Glenn, Kalen DeLoach, Amari Gaynor, a lot of the young guys, they need to battle it out and see who can be the other linebacker in that rotation. Either way it goes, I want to see a rotation at really, every position on the defense, with the exception of probably Marvin Wilson. But even he needs to come off the field, because that was kind of the problem last year. You would play these guys the whole game, and then when it got to the fourth quarter, they were out of gas. So you need to have a rotation everywhere. Let's see. The 4-3 multiple defense can defend the pass and the run effectively without needing to sub that much. To me, the height and weight for this defense should be at each the height and weight at this position should be as follows. Defensive end, 6'2", 260 minimum. These are all minimums. Defensive tackle, 6'3", 290. Linebacker, 6'3", 225. Safety linebacker hybrid, 6'2", 210. Cornerbacks, 6'0" or 6 foot, 185. Safeties, 6 foot, 200. Speed at every position, crazy strength at every position, smarts and fundamentals at every position. So to basically summarize the 4-3 multiple scheme, the key to that defense is obviously the safety linebacker hybrid. He has to be able to, he's going to be a jack of all trades. He's got to cover backs, receivers, tight ends, and I think if Lars Woodby is healthy, he can do that. He probably needs to get back down to again his the initial weight he came in was like 209, 208. I mean, he's a player. He's a player. And he basically thought when he came to Florida State, hey, they were going to run this type of scheme which fits my skill set. This is what Jalen Ramsey played. That's where Derwin James played. And, if they can get back to that type of defense, I think you're going to see Lars Woodby take off if he's healthy from that leg injury. All right. So that's all I got to say about the 4-3 multiple defense. Next, I wanted to talk about a QB comparison that I been wanting to do for a long time, and that is Charlie Ward versus Tommy Frazier. And I'm going to start with Tommy Frazier first. All right. 2 African-American quarterbacks that played each other in the Orange Bowl, January 1, 1994. Of course, Charlie Ward won 18-16. But Tommy Frazier did lead a potential game-winning drive and set up a field goal to win the game, but Nebraska missed the field goal. So that's just a little brief history on this, this comparison. This is what I got to say about Tommy Frazier. 6'2", 205. He's from Bradenton, Florida. A triple option beast, limited thrower, but made a lot of big time throws in big time games. Showed up in big games. 1994-1995 national champion. Again, I already summarized the Orange Bowl. 45-4 as a starter. One of the best college QBs ever, in my opinion. He went undrafted. All right. So, to me, Tommy Frazier's signature moment was the 75-yard touchdown run against the Florida Gators. And I'm not just saying that because it was against the Florida Gators, a team that I hate. Historically, in my opinion, he's one of the best college quarterbacks to ever step on the field. I mean, he was dominant. I mean, he was just, he dominated virtually every game he played in, man. And I think in today's NFL, he might have got a shot. I mean, you look at somebody like Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts or Russell Wilson, and if he could have played in the spread, I think he could have done pretty good, man. I mean, I really don't know what else to say about him. I mean, I'm not really doing him any justice probably, but hey, man, I think his game could have translated well to the NFL. So in today's NFL, the league was different back when he finished up at Nebraska. And next I'm going to go to Charlie Ward, 6'2", 190, from Thomasville, Georgia, Heisman Trophy winner, 1993 national champion. Again, beat Tommy Frazier in the 1994 Orange Bowl. NBA point guard. Rejected NFL for a lack of respect. Waited 3 years to get on the field at Florida State. Better passer than Frazier. 23-2 as a starter. He went, should have played sooner. Great college quarterback. Kansas City Chiefs wanted Ward to back up Joe Montana. He declined. All right. So my winner is going to be Charlie Ward, obviously. Just a more prolific passer. I don't know why Bobby Bowden didn't play Charlie Ward more. I think they could have been in contention for more national championships during the 3 years that Charlie Ward didn't play. I want to say Casey Weldon was in front of Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward was a way better quarterback than Casey Weldon. I just think that Bobby Bowden and the offensive coordinator, I want to say it was Brad Scott, but I could be wrong. I don't know. They just were fixated on Casey Weldon. I just feel like Charlie Ward's game translated better to the NFL. He was obviously a better passer. Tommy Frazier was a little bit more athletic, but the league wasn't ready for those type of quarterbacks yet. I mean, you had Randall Cunningham there, you had Warren Moon, but I just don't think the league was ready for an influx of black quarterbacks. I just don't think it was ready for that at that time. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, which is continuing with the Charlie Ward theme, did Charlie Ward's sacrifice help the black quarterback? I think it did. Charlie Ward basically told the NFL, if I'm not a first rounder, don't draft me. And we all know that when you tell the NFL to do something, they're basically going to screen you out. But even with the NFL screening him out, the Kansas City Chiefs still came and tried to get him to back up Joe Montana. All right. So when he told them don't draft me, he stated it was a respect issue. I think the NFL teams and its teams took an internal look and said the following year, draft Steve McNair from Alcorn State to prove that we like black quarterbacks. Now, this is in my opinion now. Don't get me wrong. Air McNair was an awesome player. But he wasn't better than Charlie Ward, in my opinion. The ACC football conference sucked at that time. but I think it was 10 times better than the SWAC. All right. The NFL is a political machine. Let's face it. Charlie Ward's sacrifice helped many black quarterbacks to get the proper evaluation that they get today. In my opinion. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen, since Charlie Ward, a Heisman Trophy winner go undrafted. I could be wrong, but I don't think since he won the Heisman up until today, January 6, 2020, I don't think a Heisman Trophy winner has ever went undrafted. So that's going to conclude today's episode. I hope you liked it. This podcast is available on YouTube. It's available on Apple Podcasts. It's available on Google Podcasts. And it's also available on Spotify podcasts. Thank you for your tremendous support. I appreciate every single subscriber that listens to my podcast. I appreciate every subscriber that has subscribed to my podcast. And as always, go Noles.